Hi, I'm Grey Tiger, and welcome to the Cult of Ursun development stream, part 2. In part 1, we went through the lore of the Cult of Ursun and Tsar Boris, and we came up with several ideas based on that lore. I was very happy with the range of ideas that were provided by the community. So thank you to everybody who suggested things. So we've got those ideas, and in the past week, I've just sort of refined those a little bit and jotted them down into more clear descriptions. As our initial ideas were kind of, as I typed them down, they were kind of all over the place. So this is the initial list of ideas here. Excuse me. This is the initial list of ideas here. So effectively, we came across a concept of bear hunts, which are important to Kislev, and especially so to the Cult of Ursun. Now, the bear hunts are sanctioned by Ursun. And if the hunting party show respect and reverence to him, then he will grant them rewards, which in the lore is things along the lines of a good harvest, or I don't know, a bumper crop. I don't know, same thing. But yeah, so we will take that concept of rewards, but we'll make it more game focused. So you might have things like growth for a settlement, you may have bonuses for units, that sort of thing. So alongside the bear hunts for the cult, we also came across the idea of adding a shrine, or the construction of a shrine for Tsar Boris. Since he is away from the core lands of Kislev in the game, it might be nice to have some mechanic that creates a shrine for him. The main shrines, of course, are all in the Kislev lands, with the most famous being inside Kislev itself, the city of Kislev, that is. But anyway. So, I do apologise for the late start. I did intend to start at 10 o'clock, but I got a bit sidetracked. So I hope that that's not a problem. So today's stream, what will it cover? So what I'd like to do is we'll have a recap of an in-depth recap of what the design currently is. We will have some discussion, hopefully, on what interactions might start the hunt and the workflow of a hunt. So what actions is the player required to take? We'll hopefully have a discussion on what progression system should we use in the Cult of Ursun screen. And we'll also have a look at how can we give each Kislevite faction a unique experience while playing with the Cult of Ursun mechanic. So we'll start off, I think, by having a look at what our current system, current design is. Excuse me, just drinking my coffee. Okay, so here we have what the current design is, which I've jotted down into a more legible form. Should we increase the size of this font? Can I increase the size of this font? Zoom in. I don't want to have to be doing that each time. Zoom. Control plus num plus. No, I'm not plus. Okay, that'll do. Just to make it a little bit easier for anybody to read. Okay, so the Cult of Ursun will contain, as it currently stands, 3 main aspects. So the first is the bear hunts, which I've mentioned. So bear hunts in a similar style to the monster hunt mechanic that we see in Troy. So if I bring up some images I have of Troy. So we have here just some things taken from Troy. So in Troy, at the beginning, once you have the Mythos DLC in place, of course, it's important that you have the Mythos DLC. You get to decide which of the three major monsters that you want to focus on during your campaign. So you can go on a hunt for the Griffin, or Cerberus, or the Lernian Hydra. So I'm thinking something similar along the lines to this screen. Oh, excuse me, I think I have somebody at the door, if you will just bear with me. Good, thanks. How are you? I'm pretty good. No one punched me in the face today, so it's been a good day so far. I can't complain too much. What about yourself, mate? Relaxing for the morning or just wanting to something like that? I'm actually working. Working? 30 seconds for you. My name's Joseph. What was your name, sir? Craig, nice to meet you. They say shake your hand, meet your friends, so we're friends now. I promise I won't give you poker or anything like that. Look, we're just trying to get we're just trying to get a bit of free support. I feel like we're on computer map today. Have you heard of them before? No. That's okay, man. I'm like a cancer research shit. Now, we're trying to get free support, like I said. A little personal question, but do you know anyone yourself who's going to cancer or anything like that, mate? No. That's a good thing. Yeah, that's a good thing. I hope it stays well. You're not the first person to say it all day, so pretty good thing. What we're finding with some of the treatments, like chemo and radio, about half the time actually causes some of the cases to pass away. Obviously, isn't great. We're trying to push towards immunotherapy. Have you heard of that one before? Vaguely? Okay, so what it does essentially, charges your white blood cells to multiply and attack your cancer cells. Really effective for certain types of cancer. We want to get across the board for more types of cancer. Now, the problem is the government doesn't help with a whole lot of funding when it comes to research. Does that shock you at all, or am I saying actually for everyone? That's kind of why we rely on the community. Sorry, it's been a long morning. So what we've got going on is like a local campaign, it's like Community Helping Community. Now it kicks off in like a month's time, on the 5th of July, sorry. So come then, most next to be super friendly today, just jump on board. Now they're just doing something small for this one, like a bucket egg. They do it for as long as they can afford to do it. They get it all back in hunks as well, just to show the government that we actually really care about something like this. But the idea is the more people that jump on board, the gamble they'll lose money in the troops. Yeah, does that sound fair enough then? Well, I've got a couple of stories. I'm kind of like a conference call. Yeah. I'll probably want to see if I can spend since I have been pretty far. No, that's alright, man. Well, look, if you want to, just jump on the website. We're trying to do the rounds like every 3 to 6 months as well. So, yeah, it's Good Friday. If you catch it again and it doesn't affect you, jump on board then. Yeah, man, other than that, I'll leave you to it. Hope you enjoy your day. No worries, man. Have a good one. Hope you have a good day. Hope you don't get any punches. It's your turn. Hello, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had somebody at the door looking for donations. Okay, where was I? Oh, that's right, yes. So the bear hunts will follow, I guess, a similar vein to the monster hunts that we saw in the Troy Mythos DLC. Well, while we won't provide the user with the choice of 3 different monsters to hunt, because we're hunting bears, we may probably provide them with a choice of, a lesser bear or a greater bear to hunt. And of course, the lesser bear would take less time, cost less devotion, but you get lesser rewards. The greater bear, more time, more devotion, and the chance of better rewards. Quite simple. So that's what it's based on, I guess. So let's jump back out of there. Okay, so similar start to the Monster Hunt mechanic in Troy. So secondly, I've been thinking about a system of charms, which will provide bonuses on the bear hunts. So we'll cover charms a little bit more because they're detailed a bit further down. Hello, Inarbran. Just being joined by one of my cats, Inarbran. I think she wants the lap. Hang on a second. Do you want to sit there? Come on. Good girl. Okay, so we'll cover charms in a little bit. Oh no, there she goes. All right, she just wanted to interrupt. And the third will be a shrine to Ursun, which will be Tsar Boris only. So this in the Cult of Ursun was initially intended to just be for Tsar Boris. I thought that he, more than the other two, needed his own mechanic. But after reading through the lore, it seems that the Cult of Ursun and bear hunts are so integral to the society of Kislev that it seems like it makes sense for it to be available to all of the Kislevite factions. But what we will do is we'll give Tsar Boris some additional aspects to bear hunts and to the bonuses to set him apart. And one of those might include a shrine to Ursun, which we build up over time, based on Ursun's favor, which is a resource which we gain from successful bear hunts. Just please bear with me for a moment. Just want to double check on something. Sorry for the interruptions. Okay, that is active. Okay. Where are we? Okay, alright, so let's have a look at bear hunts in depth. So, number one, they can be started by spending devotion. So I thought that there isn't really much use of devotion at the moment for Tsar Boris in particular, because you can't use the devotion in the Confederation race, because that's just Kostaltin and Katerine that do that. The only real outlets for the spending of devotion for Tsar Boris seem to be the building of the Orthodoxy chain of buildings, and the prayers to the four gods, which will give you those different effects for a short period. So other than that, I thought that devotion seems to be a resource that we could probably tap into and use. So, Tsar Boris will have the ability to choose from 2 hunts at the start of the game. Kostaltin and Katerine won't. Other factions, Kostaltin and Katerine, and any other Kislevite factions we might see come to the game, will be able to do this once they have earned enough of Ursun's favour. Now, these hunts will differ in devotion cost, duration, and possible bonuses. So we will have a standard bear hunt, which will cost, for now, I'm just putting down 30 devotion. These figures will, of course, change as the mechanic is coded and developed. So we're looking at... Hang on a second, I just realised that you cannot see my cursor. Okay, just bear with me for a second. Why is that? Why is the cursor not showing up? And there's one of my cats having a hissy fit with another one. My cats usually get along quite well with one another, but there are a few rivalries in the house, and it sounds like one of them's setting off right now. Okay, do we have the cursor? It says it should be showing up. Maybe it will just take a while. Oh, there we go. I think I saw it. Okay. Okay, so... there we go. So standard bear hunt and greater bear hunt. So these will be the 2 choices that will be provided to Tsar Boris, or the player, if they're using Tsar Boris at the start of the game. So, as you can see, the greater bear hunt will cost more devotion, have more stages, and of course provide different rewards. Now, 2 possible expansions to this, which I think would be nice to have, would be a cursed bear hunt, where we are hunting a bear which has been affected by the undead, and a chaotic bear hunt, where we'll be hunting a bear which is affected by one of the 4 Lords of Chaos. These would, of course, require new models, so we'd require an undead bear, model, and we'd require some bear models that look like they've been affected by the different Chaos Gods. Now, modeling is not one of my strengths, so this that's partly why I've put it down as possible expansion. So let's just make note of that again here. It doesn't hurt to have it down in more than one place. Okay, so number 2. The hunt is a series of dilemmas with possible battles. So a new dilemma system will be created to ensure the interface has the required appearance. So while I could use the dilemma system that's in place in the game, I'm going to roll my own because I want this to look a specific way, and the dilemma system that's currently there won't, I don't believe, have what I want. And I also want this because I will use it for Repence's mechanic that I failed to implement in Warhammer 2. The dilemma system in Warhammer 2 threw up some roadblocks for my Repence mechanic. And by rolling my own dilemma system with its own UI, I believe I can circumnavigate those roadblocks and get my Repence mechanic up and running in Warhammer 3. Of course, once we have access to Bretonnia, because I can't really test it without them. So, carrying on, each dilemma will have 4 options, which will give different bonuses and increase or decrease the respect shown during the hunt. So, the sort of feel or look for the UI will be something along the lines of this. So if we see here, we've got this from Troy. So something like this, and this is just my representation of it, so this is what it might end up being like, and we'll take the art will come from modified images of screenshots from inside the game. So we may have, so we've got our 4 choices here. One might give us a little bit more Ursun's favor for doing something, but might have a different cost. One might end up leading to a dead end on the hunt. So I'm sure we could brainstorm some interesting hunts, and of course we can expand them over time, adding more and more. Okay, so the hunt respect. Okay, I've forgotten how to speak. Possible bonuses would include temporary boosts to units, so unit types specifically. I'd better just fix that. Temporary boosts to growth, control, income, etc. And these would be faction-wide. And they would have to be faction-wide because we don't know where the hunt's taking place. Unless as part of the dilemma we actually said this region will get the boost. I don't know. Yet to be decided. Unique charms, so which may have limited durations. So once again, I'll touch on the charms very soon. Okay, so possible penalties. Well, in the lore we read about when Ursun feels that he's been wronged and that a hunt has been carried out on one of his kin without due respect, he will send a great bear to a settlement, a town, and attack that town, damaging the buildings, possibly killing the populace. Now, I don't know about killing populace, but as I think for the player it would be too annoying to have your garrison being ravaged by the bear, and then if an enemy army comes and attacks you, your garrison is at half strength. I think that would be too severe. So we may just limit the bear attacks on a random settlement just to the damaging of buildings, just for the player's sanity. Possible hunt dilemmas. So I've got 2. Going to need a few dozen for this. And this, I think, is an area where the community at large, if anybody's interested, could really make a difference in maybe even having some distinct narratives through the bear hunts. So far we've got sacred ground. So the dilemma is you can avoid the sacred ground to show additional respect, but you've got a small chance of losing the bear and ending the hunt. Another we saw in the lore is that fish is very important to the bear. So we can leave a gift of fish for the bear to lure it. However, this is not showing due respect to the bear, and it will reduce the respect earned. It will reduce the favor from Ursun earned at the end of the hunt. And then, of course, we've got a couple of question marks because there's a lot more to fill in. Oh, excuse me. Let's see. Moving on. Number 3. So, when a hunt is completed, the player will earn bonuses based on the respect they've shown to Ursun during the hunt. These will be larger bonuses, such as permanent upgrades to specific unit types, and for Tsar Boris, materials for the construction of his shrine. So, looking at Tsar Boris specifically, his upgrades will focus on Tsar Guard, Warbear Riders, and Elemental Bears as a third option. And only Tsar Boris will have that initially. Kostaltin will upgrade Streltsy and Winged Lancers. And Katerin will focus on Ice Guard and Snow Leopards. Now, Kostaltin and Katerin may be able to unlock the Elemental Bear upgrades with enough Ursun's favour. Part 4. Bear hunts will have a cooldown. Now, this is based on the stricture in the lore that a bear can never be hunted in winter. So the cooldown will start at 15 turns, but that can be reduced through the use of charms. Number 5. A respectful hunt is based on the dilemma choices and the units in the army that is taking part in the hunt. So when the hunt begins, I'm envisioning that the player will choose what sort of hunt they want to do, whether it be a minor or a greater hunt, and then the next thing would be asking them about what is your hunting party made of. They'd have to choose a leader, so a lord that they already have in the game, and then they choose the units that make up that hunting party. So kind of similar, again, to what's in Troy. So in the lore, it says that bow and spear are considered respectful of Ursun's wishes while hunting. But if the hunt uses gunpowder or cavalry or magic, then that will anger Ursun. Smaller hunting parties, of course, also gain more respect, while a larger army will make the fight. Will of course give you less respect. But of course, by having a smaller hunting party, you're running the risk that the fights will be more difficult, and you may not be able to actually complete the bear hunt successfully. Part 6. The lord that leads the bear hunt will receive traits based on the level of respect shown. So when the bear hunt is completed, you will have, for any lord that takes part in the bear hunt, they will receive the trait Priest of Ursun. Which bonuses it conveys, I don't know yet. Have to consider that. If a lord takes part in several hunts, then they can be awarded the High Priest trait. And then there will be several other unique traits that they might earn based on different dilemmas that were faced during the hunt. Part 7. Cursed bear hunts. See the player hunting an undead bear. Dilemmas would be undead themed. Okay, so we kind of touched on that before. Part 8. Chaotic bear hunts. See the player hunting a chaos affected bear. As the name suggests. Bear would be based on one of the 4 chaos gods, and the dilemmas would be themed in the same way. So noted this down as a future expansion. Once again, mostly for the modelling part, but if we can get the core system running in place with just your standard bears and a greater bear, then tacking on the cursed bear hunt and the chaotic bear hunts shouldn't be too difficult, as it will be additional dilemmas which are undead or chaos themed, and it will be spawning different armies based on the units of that corn god, not corn god, based on the units of that chaos god. So we can see here that Nurgle a plague-affected bear with regeneration and poison aura. So that would be the bear that you're hunting and that you would face in the final dilemma. Khorne, I don't know what we will give a bear affected by Khorne. So any suggestions? All ears. Tzeentch, the bear would have a barrier. Hoping that's easy to implement. And a warp flame aura, which will cause weakness to fire. And then Slaanesh. And once again, I'm not quite sure what a Slaaneshi affected bear would have. Yeah. So once again, suggestions are more than welcome. Now, part 9, Charms. Now, Charms will provide another form of progression for the player. As they earn Ursun's favour, additional charms will be unlocked, and this will be similar to the virtues implemented in the Bretonnian Crusades mod. So if we have a look at the Bretonnian Crusades mod, let's see, let's go here. Just bring up one of the screens. We want to go to Warhammer Bretonnia. Screens. It's under Crusades. There we go. Crusades, screens, backgrounds, and yeah, that one will do. Okay, so in the Bretonnian Crusades mod, there's the concept of virtues, and virtues are gained as the player completes successful crusades. And the virtues populate this section here. So each virtue will have a different effect. Some of them will unlock battle abilities, and some of them affect the Crusades mechanic specifically. So you might gain more chivalry from a crusade. Upgrading a banner that you've earned from a crusade may cost less. You may unlock the ability to have chivalry added to your total every turn, that sort of thing. And each legendary lord, while they don't have completely unique virtues, they do have some uniques. So I believe it's the second virtue is different for each legendary lord. It's a battle ability. Each legendary lord gets a different battle ability. And I believe that's the same for the fourth virtue as well. So we'd have something similar with the charms. The layout may be the same or might be different, I don't know. It's part of the UI design. But we would have several different charms that can be earned from the bear hunts. And some of those charms would be unique to specific factions. And of those charms, they would provide bonuses to reducing the amount of devotion it costs to go on a bear hunt, reducing the cooldown of a bear hunt, maybe increases to the amount of favor you gain from Ursun, alongside battle abilities that are unlocked from the lore of Ursun, which was covered in the lore that we looked at last week. So that's kind of how charms will function. So let's close that down. Actually, let's jump that back up. So if we quickly go back to that, I've lost it. Backgrounds, there we go. Crusades, virtues, here we go. So with the Crusades, I had a lot of virtues, and a number of these are still not implemented. So some additional work to do with the Bretonnian one, I think, perhaps, when it hits Warhammer 3. But we'd have something similar in that the style of the charms would appear unique for the different factions. So that's what we want to say there. Okay, now possible charm effects will include reducing cost of bear hunts, reducing cooldown duration, unlocking new army abilities from the Divine Lore of Ursun. Now, from the Divine Lore of Ursun, there are 3 spells which I think suit us quite well. There's Growling Fury, which will be a buff to the weapon damage of units in an area for a short period. Unyielding Ursun, a buff to the leadership and physical resistance for units in an area. And Winter's Sleep, which will hold the specific target unit in place for a short period. I find that these spells, hold spells, so like the Net of Amontok, can be very handy, especially if you want to focus fire on a unit. So there we have the system design as it currently stands, based on the lore that we looked at last week and all the suggestions that were provided. Which means that we now perhaps want to move on and look at the workflow. Now, I was hoping that I'd actually get some additional people. Hey, Pierce Brosnan, how are you going? Pog, yes, Pog indeed. Let's see now. Let's open up. Yeah, we'll open that up. All right, so that's the recap of what we have. Now it's on to, well, how do we implement this? What should be the workflow for a hunt? All right, so I'll take some more of my coffee. All right, so we'd want to look at the workflow from, I guess, two different perspectives. Pierce Brosnan says, Ursun's fate in game makes me sad. Yes, poor Ursun being chained up by Be'lakor. That does make it sad. I guess it would be hard for Ursun to grant his favour with this while he's chained up. But I don't know if they'll have that same narrative for Immortal Empires. I hope they don't. I hope that Immortal Empires is completely separate and has nothing to do with the Be'lakor or Ursun being captured or any of that. I guess we have to wait and see. There's quite a wait too. I mean, what are we currently? We are... Oh, excuse me. Coffee is repeating. We are just starting June. When did they say we would get it? June, July. We might get it September, I think. I don't know. Okay, workflow. Tsar Boris. Let's look at Tsar Boris first. Is this going to be like the Book of Grugni mod for but for Kislev? Yes. Yes, it is indeed going to be a similar thing. But not based on the creation of runes, but based on going on hunts. Avenge 21, Immortal Empires comes out in Q3, so between July, September. Whilst I'd like to see it in July, I don't know if that might be a little bit early. That'd be good though. Because I've got a lot to do before then. Yeah, it'd be nice to see it come out that early though. I mean, the game desperately needs it, I think. But then I don't want them to rush it on the same thing, because I want them to get it right. Because I don't think they got the Chaos campaign right. Mod development streams, Triple Heart. Thank you, Aries 106. Yes, I thought I'd start doing these with this mod in particular, because I've been wanting for a while to work on a mod which is community driven, and doing one for one of the existing races in Game 3 seemed like the right thing. So I'm currently also working on a Dark Elves mod, but that one's just going to be my concept, if you will. But this one, I'd like people to put as much input as they're comfortable with. Try and keeping things lawful, but yeah, as much community feedback as possible would be fantastic. Pierce Brosnan says, I still think CA will mess up, and again we won't see it till near Christmas. Pierce, I hope not. I'd never underestimate CA's ability to screw things up, I guess. But surely they will have learned some lessons from the poor release of Warhammer 3. I mean, we know now that the core team that created Warhammer 3 have mostly moved on, and it's the DLC teams that have taken over and are clearing up the mess. Yeah, I guess, yeah, clearing up the mess that was left behind. The DLC team have provided us with some great things over the past year and a half. So I've got faith that they will fix things. Hope I'm not wrong on that. It's up to modders to save Game 3. It has been up to modders up until now. And we've had some great mods come out, like Drunk Flamingo's mod that turns off the Chaos Realms. That's a good one. I always play with that. The mod with the new victory conditions. I'm sorry, I forget who created that one. And of course, we've got the larger mods like SFO and Radius slowly being released. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for modding in Warhammer 3, like there was with Warhammer 2. I mean, we see at the end of Warhammer 2 that there are a lot of good mods coming out, and I think we're just scratching the surface with Game 3. Once all of the other races appear, I think we're going to see a lot of action. Right. Anyway, program flow, or the workflow. So how will the player interact with the bear hunts? So, step 1. Oops, don't want that. So the player needs to collect. Oops. Enough devotion. My spelling is terrible. Okay. 2. Alright, so player can open the Cult of Ursun screen and choose to begin a bear hunt if one is not already active. Yep. Let's, as an addition to that, we may also add a UI element to the campaign screen to allow bear hunts to be started or to quickly see progress. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Chris Brosnan says, thoughts on CA removing game chat because it's apparently problematic. Huge cop happy CA to do this, I think. I think it was a stupid decision. They probably think that they're protecting people, protecting kids from, I don't know, bad language or whatnot. I don't think it's going to make a damn bit of difference. I mean, going to places like Reddit, you're going to see the same sort of shit that you might see in the chat. So, yeah, I think it was pointless. I think they say it's partly to do with them wanting to upgrade the entire chat system, but you could still have left the existing one in place while you're doing that. Who made them do it? PR department or the Cathayan market? Oh, China. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I don't know how much they changed their game for that market. I'm sure that has some influence, but how major that influence is, couldn't tell you. Right, so player can open the Cult of Ursun screen and choose to begin a bear hunt if one's not already active. Alright, so Start hunt. Screen provides two choices. This is lesser hunt, greater hunt. 4. So player chooses hunt. Actually, no, that would be the same thing. Player makes choice, and hunt dialogue is closed. Start hunt dialogue. Let's keep it consistent. Opens and provides two choices. Player makes choice and dialogue is closed. Timer begins. Timer starts in background. And number of turns before the first stage of the hunt, which is dilemma, is displayed. Okay. P.S. Brosnan. By upgrade, they mean neuter the existing model to take all fun out of it. That's if they will ever replace it at all. What are you going to do with Kislev God blessings for this? Do you mean the 4 blessings that currently exist? I did not have any plans for them to interact. Doesn't mean that we can't have them interact. If you have any ideas on that, please feel free to throw them out there. Right, start hunt dialogue opens and provides the two choices. Blah, blah, blah. Player makes the choice. First stage of the hunt begins. Alright, so after X turns, dilemma appears. Player is provided with 4 choices. Player chooses and dialogue is closed. Timer then resets and resets for the next dilemma, or the next lemma. Oh shit, what did I just do? Okay, I'm not quite sure what key I pressed then. Timer then resets for the next dilemma, and I've lost my train of thought. Any bonuses from dilemma are applied. 5 repeat process until the hunt is complete. Alright, so but we've got a branch here. So we've got 4A. Dilemma leads to a battle. Although I think I've missed something. Very important. Player needs enough devotion. Player opens the Cult of Ursun to choose beginner hunt. 2 choices. First 2 choices, lesser hunt, greater hunt. Player makes choice and hunt dialogue is closed. There should be one in between. You need to choose who's going on the hunt. I mean, what lord is going on the hunt? Lord selection dialogue appears with UI for creation of hunting party. Similar to Troy. first DLC. Player selects Lord and units, and dialogue is closed. And then part 5, timer starts in background, blah blah blah. And that becomes part 6, and then that becomes part 7, and that becomes part 6. Pierce Brosnan, maybe depending on who you are fighting, a certain god, if dedicated to, can grant you bonuses against that race, among other things. So the gods grant you different bonuses depending on who you're fighting. Yeah, that's an expansion of the current god system there. Probably not something I'm going to put in the cult, but last week we had a couple of suggestions about a mechanic for Kostaltin. Let's see, where was it? So yeah, so we had some stuff we thought about Kostaltin. So where he would have a mechanic based on the blessings from the gods, which would be conferred onto units using the scrap mechanic from the greenskins, where units, if they get too many blessings, then they could get some negative effects like negative leadership and rampage. Where it would use the Kislev pantheon, so that's some of those gods that you're talking about that are on that screen already, and possibly using the I can't remember what they were called, but Arianka was one of the gods. Can't remember if they were. Let's have a look. What was the name of those gods? Warhammer, Arianka. Gods of Law, that's right. So these are a group of other gods, kind of opposed to the Chaos gods, of which there are 3, apparently. And it was discussed about using them alongside the Kislevite gods, which I believe are the ones that are already in game, aren't they? Let's see, what does this have? Must have, there we go, religion. Kislev Mediterranean regions, the Great Orthodoxy. No, others women, ice witches, language, society. I don't know if it's actually going to have the gods in here. I thought it would have been up in religion, but apparently not. Damn, there's quite a bit to them. No, okay. Maybe if I search for Ursun, then maybe I'll have a link to the other gods. I think one of the other ones is Tal. Cult of Tal, Warhammer, the Old World. Tal is the organized worship of the god Tal across the Old World. Tal is the god of nature and wild places, father of Manan, brother of Ulrich. I think he's one of the gods on that screen, I can't remember. Pierce, sounds good, would work for Costa. Yeah, I think that changing that would work better for Kostaltin. Blair Cottrell told me he had enjoyed your Book of Grugny mod very much. Cool. Well, I suggest anybody who's interested in the dwarves give it a try. It's in Warhammer 2 currently. And my latest mod in Warhammer 2 is the Bretonnian Crusades, which was a lot of fun. A lot of work, but a lot of fun. So dilemma leads to a battle. Okay. Repeat hunt is complete. 8, and you would have a final battle against the targeted bear. Bear. So for these, we'd need new models with huge health pool and strength, I guess. So if you're going to be fighting this one bear with your small hunting party, we want to make that bear a real nasty sucker. What are the main things you're hoping to bring for Kislev with this mod? We'll check the Plutonium mod out. They deserve better from CA. Main things. Alright, let's recap through what we have. So this is based... So these are the notes that I took last week with the people who are on the stream or who are interacting. And it's a little bit difficult to follow there because it was just being jotted down randomly as we were going along. So I've reorganized it into 9 specific points. So I'll just quickly recap them. So the Cult of Ursun mechanic will have 3 main focuses, which will be bear hunts, similar to the monster hunt mechanic in Troy, charms, which provide bonuses on bear hunts, and a shrine to Ursun, and this is for Tsar Boris only, to make it unique, so he's got something unique. So the bear hunts can be started by spending devotion. Tsar Boris has the ability to choose from 2 hunts at the start of the game. Other factions don't get that ability until they've gone on a few hunts. And there'll be 4, initially there'll be 2 different types of hunts, just your standard or greater bear hunt, which cost different amounts of devotion and have different lengths and provide different bonuses. And eventually I'd like to have 2 additional types, which are a cursed bear hunt, where you're hunting an undead bear, or a chaotic bear hunt, where you're hunting a bear affected by one of the chaos gods. So the hunt is a series of dilemmas with possible battles, and a battle at the end to fight the bear you're hunting. I'll be rolling a new dilemma system so that I can ensure the interface is what I want. Each dilemma has 4 options and give different bonuses. Now, as you're doing the hunt, there'll be a new resource that'll be tracked, which is the amount of respect you've shown to Ursun during the hunt, because the law says that Ursun allows bears to be hunted, but the hunters have to show a certain amount of respect, otherwise they earn his wrath. So if you gain enough respect, then you'll be granted Ursun's favor at the end of the hunt, and you'll get bonuses. If you don't show enough respect, then Ursun will unleash a great bear attack on one of your settlements, which will just damage the buildings. Blah blah blah. What else? When a hunt is completed, player will bonuses. Just based on that. Bear hunts will have a cooldown, which will be 15 turns, but can be changed. Respectful hunt is based on dilemma choices and the size of the army that you've taken, and the composition of the army as well. The lord that leads the bear hunt will receive traits based on the level of respect. So any lord that undergoes a bear hunt will become a priest of Ursun. If they go on multiple bear hunts, they can become a high priest and get additional bonuses. And there'll be unique traits which you can pick up from certain dilemmas during the bear hunts. And what those are, I don't know yet. The cursed and chaotic bear hunts I mentioned. And then charms is another form of progression for the player. So as you're going on these bear hunts, you'll gain Ursun's favor, and Ursun's favor can then be spent to unlock charms. And the charms can be things like reducing the cost of a bear hunt, reducing the cooldown between bear hunts, unlocking new army abilities, which are based on the divine law of Ursun, which hasn't been implemented in-game. And then a couple of the divine law spells are Growling Fury, Unyielding Ursun, and Winter's Sleep. So that was a quick recap. So that's what this mechanic is intended to focus on. And today I'm just going through what will be the flow. through a bear hunt. Alright, so first off, the player collects enough devotion resource to trigger a bear hunt. I should probably put that in there. Trigger a hunt. Because when you start the game, you're not going to have enough devotion to trigger a hunt. Unless we give them enough. Might be an option. Player opens the Cult of Ursun screen and chooses the bear hunt. Then that screen changes. Yeah, instead of closing the screen, start hunt dialogue. So start hunt dialogue changes or morphs. Oops, morphs is probably a better term. Morphs. Oh no. Opens. That's the wrong one. It's not Lord Selection. It's Lord Selection panel appears with the UI for creation of hunting party. Yep. Similar to the Troy Mythos DLC. So we'd be doing something along the lines of... So the player would be choosing from 2 which hunt they're going on. And then it would morph to show us... that's the wrong screen. Oh no, it must have been the right screen. It will morph to show the hunting party and how you're going to make that up. Actually, I thought I had a better representation of that. I guess I must have closed that window. Let's see if I can bring it up so there's a better idea. Troy Mythos Total War Saga Troy. Oh no, that's not it. I want the images for that. Hunting party. I'm pretty sure there's a screen where you select your... There we go. I think that's the screen. Oh, of course it's going into a different thingy. Let's grab this and drop it on here. Yep, so there we go. So there's a screen where we choose our lord. So it'll be one of the lords you currently have, and you'd select your members for your hunting party. And we'd probably make it a similar limit to about 9. Because if we limit the number of units the player can use, then we don't have to have the bear at the end of the hunt be so ridiculously overpowered. Yeah. So that's the kind of the UI. So that's the Lord Selection panel appears. Time starts in the background before we see the first dilemma appear. After X number of turns, player gets to make their choice. One choice might lead to a battle. Maybe it doesn't. Repeat the process until the hunt is complete, which would be 4 to 6 dilemmas. 4 to 6 dilemmas, depending on which hunt you chose. And then you have a final battle against the targeted bear, which would be new models with huge health pool and strength. Just need to make a note. Lord Selection panel appears. Limit number of units. Units to, I don't know, 6 to 9. Yeah. Alright, let's quickly jump and catch up with chat. P.S. Brosnan says, we'll check the Plutonium mod out. They deserve better from CA. I think I said that already. Yeah, the Plutonium mod. I'm very proud of the Plutonium mod. It's got a lot of moving parts to it. And each, apart from the main mechanic, or mechanics, because there are several that are intertwined, for the faction, which can be used with any of the, sorry, not faction, for the race, which can be used with any of the factions, including factions from Mixu's mod. Apart from that main mechanic, there are individual mechanics for Luon Leoncoeur, Albrecht de Bordelot, and the Fey Enchantress. So they've all got their unique things. So it's very much like the Hammer of Gogni. Would make it more exciting if the highest stage bear hunts. You're attacked by multiple armies in the battle, perhaps being attacked from two sides before the bear appears. Alright, so we could have some sort of ambush. That's a good idea. Let's go to the bear hunts, and let's go and make a new point. Point 10. So, bear hunts bear hunts may include battles from dilemmas, including, I'm going to say if possible, because I haven't tried this before, ambushes with the battle multiple attacking armies. Final bear battle might also implement this. Okay, so that's a possibility. Need that. Pierce Brosnan, small armies. Yes, small armies to make it a little bit more manageable. Memes of Warhammer, welcome to the stream, eh? How you going? So yeah, what do you think about the Gods of Lore in the last video? I had a read up on them. I think that they could fit well with Kostaltin. I don't intend to include them in this Cult of Ursun. This is concentrating on the bear hunts and mechanics around that. But the Gods of Lore, I think, are interesting enough to make an appearance for Kostaltin. So when Kostaltin eventually gets his mod, or his addition to the mod, yeah, I'll certainly keep them in mind. Pierce Brosnan, I think linking the number of units per bear difficulty stage would be the way to go. 6 units for lesser bear hunts and up to 9 for the harder, not 9 to 10 for the harder bear hunts. That again, Pierce, is a great idea. So let's see, we've got the standard bear hunt, hunting party. My typing is terrible. Max 6 units. And then this one, hunting party, and I did the same thing again. Hunting party, max. Let's just say 9 units, so I can have a consistent UI. And then instead of typing the whole thing out again, let's just cut and paste. And then that would be the same for the chaotic ones, I think. So for the chaotic and the cursed bear hunts, we'd have maybe a max of 9 units. Player doesn't have to take 9; they can take less if they're feeling confident. The more you take, the less respect it shows for Ursun. So let's just make a note of that. The more units in the hunting party, the less respect is shown to Ursun, and the less the less respect is shown to Ursun, which would mean the player, let's go to the next line, player would earn less of the Ursun's favor resource. There we go. Linking number of units. 10 to the hardest bear hunts. Yep. Cool. Alright. Certainly taking shape. Right. The workflow. Repeat the process until we get multiple dilemmas going along. Some which might lead to battles. Some which will give you a choice where you might even lose the scent of the bear, perhaps, and the bear hunt would end. Of course, that would be a very small chance of that, because that would be annoying at times. Repeat the process until the hunt is complete, and then the final battle against the targeted bear with the new models for the bear. So these could be some big, meaty bears. Now, for anybody that's played my Hammer of Grugni mod, Ungrim Iron Fist has his own mechanic where he's hunting monsters. So let's see if we can bring up that. Actually, I might bring up a video for that. Let's see. Go to the channel, go to the home, and let's have a look. Oh, I was doing some recent stuff for him. I did a recent stream of Ungrim. I guess I didn't put it into the streams thing. Let's have a look. It will be in here. I know that. And the version 1.10 overview. Let's mute that. Don't need to listen to that. It's really weird watching ads on my own content. Jeez. For some reason my ad blocker isn't working at the moment. Alright, let's see if we can find the region where I talk about Ungrim's mechanic. Where is it? I think it's here. Here we go. Alright, so Ungrim has a thing called the Slayer Halls and monster hunts. And when he goes on a monster hunt, when he defeats the army, he's got a choice. Does he want to slay the monster that's at the heart of that army? Or does he want to tame the monster for use in his own armies? So slaying the monster gives him a great amount of a resource called Acclaim, which he can use to upgrade slayers. And taming the monster gives him access to that monster via the Regiments of Renown panel, and also allows him to upgrade that monster in the future from the Slayer Halls on the Beasts panel. So I'm wondering, would we want to perhaps implement something similar with the bears that you hunt? Or would that be... would having one of these bears be too overpowering? Because if you're going on the hunt and you track down one of these bears, and defeat it, these bears are going to be strong because you're going to have an army attacking a bear, maybe with a couple of random beast units. But should that be something perhaps that we could consider? I think maybe it's worth making a note. Maybe it's worth making a note about doing that. Let's go back to the page. Alright. So that would be down here. Player may choose to tame the bear if the Lord is a high priest, or they are playing as Zarboris, this this would add a version of the bear to the Regiment of Renown system, so it can be recruited. That's not how you spell recruited. Recruited at a later date. Bear would have a single life, and may include the option, and we may include the option to upgrade it. Similar system. Oh, my typing is terrible. Similar system to the Hammer of Grugny Ungrim mechanic. There we go. So maybe it's an optional. So let's put it down as expansion. Okay. Back to the chat. What about linking the Ursun respect level to how frequent these hunts appear? Okay, so let's see. So currently, let's see, where did I have that about the delays? Okay, so bear hunts have a cooldown, and this cooldown is based on the stricture that a bear can never be hunted in winter. So the cooldown will start at 15 turns, and you can affect it by charms. But perhaps if you've been particularly respectful, you might get a reduced cooldown. So perhaps showing great respect during a hunt, earning more of Ursun's favor, might give a one-off cooldown between the no, not a one-off cooldown, one-off reduction to the cooldown between hunts. Yep. Perhaps showing great respect during a hunt, earning more of Ursun's favor, might give a one-off cooldown to the one-off reduction to the cooldown between hunts. Conversely, being an ass and angering, Ursun may increase the amount of time player has to wait for the next hunt. Available hunt. How about that? Let's see, back to the chat. Where was I? What about linking the Ursun respect level? Yep, we just added that. Maybe access to... right, so Josh Milner, welcome to the stream, mate. How you going? Maybe access to a lesser bear or something similar. Access to a lesser bear. Oh, as in the reward along here. So, tame the bear. Similar system. Yeah, so we could have it that the lesser bears the lesser bears are in the battle. So lesser bears are in the battle. Oh, and they may be tamed. Yeah. Okay. Pierce Brosnan says, I think you should be able to incorporate the bears into your army, but only one at a time. I don't know how that limit would be applied. I know that a couple of people have done unit caps mods, so they must be tapping into something that prevents you from creating, having too many of a certain unit in an army. So it might be possible to say no, you can only have the one raw or the one tamed bear in an army. So try. Let's put that as a separate bullet point. Try to limit the player to one tamed bear. Oh no, that's not how you spell bear. Bear per army. I'll just put question marks after that because I'm uncertain about that one. Memes of Warhammer says, have you ever seen corrupted Miao Ying mods? No, I have not seen the corrupted Miao Ying mods. What do they do specifically? Do they make her corrupted by the Chaos Gods? And do they change the models? Avenge 21. Miao Ying mods are sus. Okay. Sus how? What do you think? I think everything that goes in the Steam workshop is relatively safe to use. Bobs. Memes of Warhammer. Bobs. I don't follow, sorry. I just need to take a drink. Bear hunts may include battles. Okay. All right. It's cool. We've gotten 2 additional points out of this, which is cool. And all right. So I think that's pretty much kind of the workflow that it would follow for Tsar Boris. And for others, so workflow would be the same. Same for other factions. Once they they need actually, shall I maybe remove that need? Yeah, no. Let's have all of the factions just follow the same workflow. It makes it easier. Pierce Brosnan says, perhaps when you reach maximum respect with Ursun, you unlock an army ability to spawn a pack of ghostly bear riders or buffed bear. Buffed bear. Right, so the Ursun's favor that you earn. Let's put a separate point for Ursun's favor because I haven't really specified it. So Ursun's favor is the resource earned from respectful bear hunts which are completed successfully. Okay. This resource can be spent on upgrades to the unit types related to the Lord. Sorry, to the faction. And what point did I put that in? I think I put that in part 3. See section 3. Can be spent upgrades. Can be no. Are used to unlock additional charms. Can be are hang on, it's not are. It is used. Is used to unlock additional charms. Is used to and is used to unlock special regiments. So what was it you said? Ghostly Bear Riders. Sound interesting. Ghostly Bear Riders. What was the other one? Yeah. I'll just leave it at Ghostly Bear Riders for now. Memes of Warhammer says you can look at Steam if you want for the Mao Ying. Okay, I might have a look at Steam later for that. Pierce Brosnan said something and decided it was not the best thing to say. Ursun should lose respect for you if any of your settlements in Kislev fall to invaders. I don't know about that one. Having something else that affects the respect might make things a little bit too chaotic for the player. So, you might have gone on a few successful bear hunts and then, I don't know, you get invaded by somebody and you suddenly lose your Ursun's favor because you lost a couple of settlements, even though you've got the armies floating around to take them back quickly. I might avoid that, because the law states that his respect is shown more in how they treat his kin. So I might keep it in that for now. But thank you for the suggestion. Okay, let's hold that there. Right, so that is the flow, I believe. Final battle against targeted bear, new mons, blah blah blah. So at the end of that battle, if successful, gain bonuses. Oops. Apply bonuses rather. Says unlock new charms. No, apply bonuses. Increase Ursun's favor. Unlock new charms, etc. And 10 optional. If successful, may include ability to tame the bear or lesser bear. Okay, all right. So that's the flow. That's how things would flow. Pierce, you yeah, you're right on that one. Okay, cool. Yeah, just I guess try and keep things relatively simple. It's as I come up with all these ideas, and we come up with the ideas on the stream. Sometimes I know for myself, I get carried away and I'll think of these things and go, oh, yeah, that sounds great. Put that in, put that in, put that in. And then when it comes time to code the sorting things, I find that I've bitten off more than I could chew. Like I did that with my repents mechanic, which I had to abandon. Let's have a quick gander at the repents mechanic that was abandoned. I'm not sure what I showed off of it. So under Bretonian, under repents, it was a mechanic I was creating for her called Forgotten Relics. I think I've got that's it. Screens. There we go. No. Map can be selected PNG. Is that the one? Yeah. So Repents was going to have a mechanic where there would be 6 distinct narrative chains. So kind of similar in concept to these bear hunts, where at specific points in the Southlands, there would be what do they call them? I can't think of the term. Let's just say trigger points that the player can move on to, and it would start a narrative chain where they would be asked to follow the story of a Bretonian lord from the Crusade times. So they'd go to different points of that region of the map looking for clues as to what happened to them, making decisions and dilemmas, and then fighting certain battles against the undead Tomb Kings there. Unfortunately, I couldn't get the battles and the dilemma system working together. There was a bit of a roadblock that I came across, which is why for this bear hunts in Game 3, I'm going to be creating my own dilemma system and ignoring the dilemma system that's currently in the game, because I do not want to hit that same roadblock again. But yeah, so the Bretonian Repents mechanic was going to be something quite similar, and it was going to be quite involved story-wise, and it will be something that if I get this bear hunt mechanic working with the new dilemma system, it'll be something that will eventually come to Game 3 for Bretonia and Repents. So this was the screen that would have shown you what story you were doing. These were different locations, I think, that could trigger them. But yes, there was similar things going on there. All right, let's think. Progression. How do we show progression through the system to the user? All right, so in so if we look at past mods that I've done, so in the Hammer of Grugny, the progression the player sees is on the runesmithing screen, you've only got access to 2 runes from each of the 3 categories at the start. And as you gain settlements, you unlock additional runes that you can use in your rune woods. In the Bretonian Crusades, you don't have any access to any of the virtues at the start. But as you complete Crusades, you unlock additional virtues, which help you through your campaign. So, and of course you unlock the banners. So here for the Cult of Ursun, one form of progression would be the charms. Oh, not chems. Charms, which are automatically unlocked as the player gains Ursun's favor. What other forms of progression could we have? I guess is a question. P.S. Brosnan says, faction-wide army buffs for all bear units after completing 10 or so hunts successfully. Okay, so how would that come down to... So you're kind of looking there at milestones, perhaps? So, I mean, 10 hunts might be a bit excessive. If a hunt might last... Well, a hunt will have between 4 and 6 stages. Now, we're not going to have the dilemma pop up every turn. So, let's say a dilemma might be every 2 to 3 turns. So, a hunt potentially has the ability to go for between 12 and 18... Well, actually, no, between 8 and... 3 by 6, 18. Between 8 and 18 turns. So, let's say an average of 15 turns per hunt. And then we've got the cooldown, which might be 10 to 15. So you might get a hunt done in 25 to 30 turns. So we probably want the milestones to be less than that. So maybe this cooldown for 1 is too long. What did I have? Cooldown 15 turns? Let's drop that down to 12. Dilemmas. Series of dilemmas. Let's just put a note in here. Dilemmas appear every 2 to 3 turns during a hunt. I didn't actually have a note of that. Alright, so maybe after 3 hunts. Yes, I was thinking that too, Pierce. So I guess we had these as milestones, and you might, after 3 hunts, maybe again after 5 hunts, and then maybe a big jump to 10 hunts. Or maybe at 3 hunts, then 5 hunts, and then every 5 hunts after that, you might get this bonus. Which, what did you say? Faction-wide army buff for all bear units. Okay, which could be the case. Alright, so milestones based on the number of bear hunts completed. 3, 5, 10, etc. Provide faction-wide buffs to bear units. Tsar Boris. No, not everybody. Provide faction-wide buffs to bear units. Limited time. Don't want it too overpowered. Buffs would vary based on faction or just random. Yeah, okay. Alright, so milestones. So one form of progression is the charms, which are automatically unlocked as the player gains Ursun's favor. Another could be milestones, where you get these bonuses for limited periods. Of course, there's going to be, you can spend Ursun's favor. So it's similar again to what the Bretonnian Crusades mod did. Spend favor earned on specific unit upgrades. Oops. Nope. Upgrades for unit types. No, just unit upgrades. A bit of a... I think that's it, perhaps. Maybe something linking Ursun's respect to an extended blizzard attrition over Kislev land that could last up to 10 turns. An attrition, blizzard attrition. Alright, so that's already in game on those on that panel with the 4 gods. Do we want to implement that again? Since there's already that blizzard attrition thing in place, I don't think maybe doing that. Having the things triggered from 2 places, I think might be a bit odd. Milestones based on the number of bear hunts completed rather. Oh. No, actually, no, that would not be part of it. I think for progression, as the player is going through the bear hunts and interacting with the Cult of Ursun screen, I think the fact that you're seeing additional charms unlocked and that you've got these milestones that you reach, I think there's enough of a sense of progression for now. I guess you don't want too many things going on, otherwise it might get a bit overwhelming. Yeah. All right. So let's just draw a line under the progression, I guess, for a second. So what time is it? Almost 12. All right, so probably go another 10 minutes, I think, which will give us enough time, I think, to nut out a few things for what makes the experience unique for each faction. So something that CA does not tend to do, at least I can't think of a way that they do it that much, is when they have a mechanic for a race, the mechanic's pretty much the same for all factions on that race. So if we have a look at in Kislev, you've got the Ice Court, which can be used by all 3 of the factions, but doesn't differ depending on who you're playing with. Like, you would have thought that the Ice Court would have had extra abilities for Katarine, but no, it's the same with Katarine or Kostaltin or Tsar Boris. But something I like to do in my mods, where I'm creating a mod for the race, I like to put in unique interactions for each faction. So in the Hammer of Grogny, on the runesmithing screen, if you're playing as I was going to say Be'lakor. I've forgotten the name of the bloody dwarves now. Belgar? No. Thorgrim. If you're playing as Thorgrim, you will have different abilities to someone else. Sorry, I've got to go back and look at my own text here. Let's go to Warhammer 2. Let's go to the workshop and let's have a look at the Hammer of Grogny. Alright, my files I've posted. And then let's go to the Hammer of Grogny. Here she is. Alright, so what I was trying to say was... Right, so each dwarf lord interacts with the runesmithing mechanics slightly differently. So here we go. So Thorgrim can use multiple runes from the same category. So if we look at the screen quickly, so this is the runesmithing screen. So there's your runes. These are your rune categories, 3 categories. So Thorgrim can use multiple runes from the same category. So he can use 3 yellows or 3 reds or 3 blues. Grombrindal can't, everybody else has to use 1 from each category. Grombrindal has the ability where all offensive runes are doubled and defensive ones are halved. Belagar gets a reduction of oath gold per tier on the cost of crafting. Ungrim gets additional bonus versus large on all crafted rune words. And Thorak gains a ward save and upkeep reduction for rune lords and runesmiths. There's also another one as well. If you're playing as Cracker Drak, you get additional resistances, I believe. So you can see that they've all got their own interactions with the mechanic, and I think I did something similar for the Bretonnian Crusades. Let's see, did I jot that down? Crusades, do players entry banner, virtues. Yeah, so the differences on the Crusades system is the virtues. So if we look at the Crusade screen, do we have any virtues unlocked on those? No, I do not. Do not have any virtues unlocked. Oh, we do on one. So the differences for the Crusades mechanic for different factions was the virtues they got. So virtues 2 and 4, I believe, were different. And they had different bonuses from completing Crusades. So if Luen Leoncoeur completed a Crusade, he'd get the Crusade banner, but he'd also get a specific resource which he could only be used on his Fealty of the Realms mechanic. And if the Fey Enchantress completed one, then she would get an extra point for unlocking spells in her Blessings mechanic. So they've got their own unique interactions with the Crusades. So I want to implement something similar here. And one of those would be unique charms. Charms per faction. Much like unique virtues. So Boris Ursun, Tsar Boris would have access to, I don't know, perhaps a charm. I don't know, a charm that improves the elemental bear, or he'd have access to a couple of charms that nobody else would have access to, and Katrine the same. Back to the chat. Faction army buffs, maybe of 300. What you have for progression is enough for sure. Okay, yeah, cool. Alright, so faction unique experience. So we'd have unique charms per faction. So another thing that's unique is each faction upgrade. Bonuses applied from Ursun's favor are specific to a few unit types per faction. And see section 3. Oops, 3. Not 23. How else might we make it unique? Well, Tsar Boris is the supreme priest, or the high priest of the Cult of Ursun. So, in the case of the bear hunts themselves, would he have anything different? Apart from the fact that he can... what can he do differently in the bear hunt? Maybe he shouldn't do anything differently. I mean, well, I don't know. So Tsar Boris would have the those 2 traits from the start of the game. Where are the traits? pretty sure I jotted that stuff down. There we go. So Zarbaros would have the Priest of Ursun and High Priest traits. From the start of the game, because in the lore he is the High Priest, the leader of the whole cult, so it makes sense for him to have them. What else can set them apart? Do we need anything else to set them apart? I mean, you're going to be earning different charms, so that's something, and through those different charms will actually be different army abilities. Right? You're going to have different bonuses applied to specific unit types. You're going to have the Zarbaros starting with their specific traits. Do we want to have traits that only certain factions can gain? Probably not. Do we want to have unique dilemma chains that only specific factions would undergo? So when we're presented with the choice of do you want to do the lesser or the greater bear hunt, perhaps a specific hunt that only that faction can encounter and only once? Maybe. I think that might be something for an expansion. But I'm going to make a note. Faction specific hunts. Expansion. Let's say one-off faction specific hunts. Possible expansion. Yeah, maybe. Pierce Brosnan, the different charms and army abilities are enough. You think that's good? Okay. I cannot think of anything else off the top of my head, and as I said before, probably don't want to put too much in there. But yeah, I guess the fact you're going to get these charms with the different army abilities, and you've got and the bonuses are applied to specific unit types, should be enough. You're right, Pierce. So that gives us the workflow, gives us what we're going to be using for progression, and how we're going to differentiate different factions. So I think that control number minus. I think that is a good place to wrap up the stream. Yep, I think I shall indeed wrap that up. So thank you to everybody that dropped by. Thank you to bigger thanks to everybody that gave ideas. So thank you, Pierce, Memes of Warhammer, Avenge21, Josh Milner, and to Aries106 and Avenge21. Thank you to all of you for dropping by and interacting with the stream. I hope this has been interesting. And I encourage you to drop by for future streams as we take this into full-on development. So the intention is now I'll go through everything that we have and start to mull over ideas, I guess, on user interface. So in the next stream, we'll actually get down to work on designing what will the hunt selection screen look like. What will we add to the campaign screen in the way of user interface elements, like with the Brutonian Crusades mod. At the very top of the campaign screen, there's a new button where you can trigger a crusade. Do we want to have a new button where we can trigger a bear hunt? That's something that we'll consider, and we'll go through other concepts on how we want to have the layout, and how the different progression might be highlighted in the UI. So a lot to think about there, and hopefully that will be a fun and interesting stream. But once again, thank you very much for dropping by, and I'll catch you all later. So have a good one, everybody.